Yo, what's good, everyone? I'm back. I apologize. I've been pretty busy over the last 2-3 weeks, the last month, and as you guys can tell, the content has reflected that. I've been helter skelter. I don't even remember the last time I posted a video, but from this point on, as you can see, we got a whole new setup here. From this point on, we are back to the regularly scheduled programming from now till NFL regular season and so forth. But as a bonus, I will be making a return to the gaming content that will coincide with the College Football 25 release. And I might even make a return before then. We'll see. We got like a month and a half before college football drops. So I might jump on, do some Madden content, maybe do something creative with that. But yeah, back to the Steeler news, back to the gaming content as well. So good times. And it's not like I've disappeared completely because I have been also doing the podcast with Arthur Motes. But in terms of my own channel, yeah, we're back. We're definitely back. And we have some things to catch up on. Number one, this is like the most recent thing that has been circulating, and that is Carolina Panthers, now current Commanders safety, Jeremy Chinn said that he was offered more money to play with the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason, but decided to go with the Washington Commanders instead. So essentially, he decided to bypass playing for a better organization and more money for a worse organization and less money. When I initially saw the headline, I was like, make it make sense. Like, bro, what are you doing? And I don't know if our offer to Jeremy was before we signed Deshaun Elliott, if any of that was like coinciding together, or if we were going to try to still sign Elliott, but also bring in Jeremy Chinn and have him play a different role. Maybe if we brought in Jeremy Chinn, that would have affected us picking up Peyton Wilson in the draft, because Jeremy Chinn, he's one of those dudes, like, he's brought up as a safety, but then moved to like box linebacker. And he, big time athlete. So maybe we wouldn't have felt like there was a need to draft Peyton Wilson, or would we have just had him play the more traditional strong safety role? I'm not sure. But I think with how everything played out with the Steelers, like, we shouldn't be stressing about it because we do have a damn good safety. Definitely a guy I think's better in coverage in Deshaun Elliott over Jeremy Chinn. But then we also were able to draft a Peyton Wilson who hopefully could be a franchise staple for us for the years to come. And maybe it just wouldn't have been a fit here with Jeremy. And the other reason I can't blame him too much, like, the initial reaction is what I said, basically, like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you're picking the Commanders over the Steelers and taking less money. But if the fit was better for him, and I'm not sure if he knows any of the defensive staff coaches that are there, or if I don't even think he's got a connection with Dan Quinn, but if he felt like that's the better fit for him and was going to make more sense for him and his NFL career long term, then I guess you can't blame the dude, because he's in a weird spot where he's been moved around so much throughout the course of his career. Started off hot, almost winning Rookie of the Year in his first year in Carolina, but then since then it's kind of been a downward trend for Jeremy Chinn, and I think part of that's just because of all the movement that he's had to undergo in the Carolina defense. So I ain't stressing us not getting Jeremy Chinn. I guess it's a head scratcher as to why he took the Commanders over the Steelers. But at the same time, if he didn't feel certain about his role here, I don't blame him. If he thought it was a better fit with the Commanders and he would be getting more snaps, or he would have a more defined role, can you blame the dude? Like, yeah, maybe you would take less money for that security over the uncertainty of who knows where this team's going to play me. Next, we got to talk Cam Sutton, because we picked him up a couple days ago. Most of you guys have probably heard my take on this from the podcast, but I think it's a good move. Like, obviously, Steelers were looking for cornerback help, particularly in the slot on the inside, because we got a bunch of outside dudes and JPJ, Dante Jackson, and if you want to throw Corey Trice in there, Darius Rush, those guys are unproven. We got a bunch of outside dudes, and then the guys that we're looking at potentially playing the slot as like Beanie Bishop and Graylin Arnold and maybe Anthony Everett, who Anthony Everett actually played predominantly outside when he was with Baltimore. So, like, we didn't have a solid slot corner, but Cam Sutton, he can do that. Like, that's how he came up in the Steelers system. He was playing predominantly slot. And then eventually was bumped to outside in his last year or two and showed that he can do that to a pretty high level. Now, things didn't work out in Detroit because I think they had him more on an island than what they should have, given his talent level and athleticism. But here in Pittsburgh, it worked out. We were able to have a system around him. We were able to have players around him to help him out when he was on the outside. And right now, with us having JPJ and Dante Jackson, we're not even asking Cam Sutton to be CB1, CB2. If he can do that, all for it. And I expect him to be able to because he has ultra versatility. He could play the slot. He could also play outside. You could bump him at safety. You could give a lot of different looks and keep the offense on their toes with a Cam Sutton being out there. And obviously, he knows the system. He's got good smarts. Just brings back that, veteran presence that he took from him. He took from the Steelers, I guess, when he went to Detroit. Now, we have other guys on defense, but Cam Sutton was, like, considered very, very highly in that Steelers locker room. So I don't really expect that to change. Obviously, the circumstances of how he got back to Pittsburgh, not good, right? It's not the optimal way to have a homecoming. But I will say this. First off, no one is condoning what he's being alleged to have done, right? Like, no one is saying the allegations against him, like, that was a good thing. No, not at all. Not at all. But also, to this point, all we got are those allegations. And the facts are that, like, no one was there. So no one knows exactly what happened one way or another. But the facts are he was given a felony charge. That has been bumped down to a misdemeanor. And most likely that misdemeanor is going to be dropped altogether because he's in some type of program. If he completes it successfully, it's going to be like there was never a charge or anything against him to begin with. Like, he's going to be completely cleared. So that's the facts of the situation right there. Because none of us were there. None of us know exactly what took place, how accurate the reports or the allegations are against him. But the facts are he is most likely going to be completely cleared from, like, a United States of America, like, judicial standpoint. So, who knows what happens then from the NFL standpoint on whether or not he gets suspended at all, because his name was associated with these headlines and these reports, and it was something that networks like ESPN and other NFL networks were talking about for a week's period of time, and the NFL doesn't want to be associated with any of that. They don't want their brand to be associated with any of that. So that's something we got to wait and see. He was saying in his interview he's in discussions with the NFL. So, what me and Moats say all the time when stuff like this pops up, like, let the due process take course. The allegations against Cam Sutton or what he's been reported to do, like, no one's cool with that. But you also got to let the due process play out, and this is how the process is playing out. He's about to get his misdemeanor charge completely dropped. So, I guess we'll even wait and see, because there is more that's going to be happening with this Cam Sutton case. And, if the NFL suspends him or not, if there's any new information, who knows. But as of right now, he is back with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think it is a good move. I definitely do think it is a good move. I think it's a need for both sides right now. If you think about it, Steelers need a slot cornerback, and Cam Sutton can do that. I think he can give us high-end play at that position. And then Cam Sutton, he's looking to get back in the league. He's looking to get things right. And he's on this 1-year prove-it deal. And for the Steelers, this is low-risk, potential, high reward. But the last thing I want to talk about is Cam Hayward, because he reported back to OTAs just a couple days ago. He did a whole 10, 11-minute interview with the media. And it seems like he's in a good spot. But some of the stuff he was saying was interesting to me, because I think he's in a good spot from like the standpoint of, I'm going to play this season out. Like, I'm going to finish this contract out no matter what. I'm going to be here for my teammates. Like, that's the type of dude that I am. I want to win a Super Bowl. I'm going to be here. Like, I'm a good teammate. Like, that type of stuff. But then on the other hand, he still is looking for that contract extension. And I get it. It's just curious to me that as he's bringing up the new contract, he's also saying, like, I still want to get paid, though, too. And it's weird because of his age being 35, and typically you don't increase contract numbers whenever you're talking about extensions for dudes that are in their mid to late 30s like that. He said he still wants to get paid as like a top 5 defensive tackle. And right now, if you look at his average salary, he's getting like $16 million per year. And that's like top 20-something, 21st or 22nd. And yeah, that's probably too little for what Cam Hayward has given us over the last 4 or 5 years. He's pretty much been the second best defensive tackle, second or third best defensive tackle in the league over that time period, after Aaron Donald and maybe the debates between like him and Chris Jones, if you want to add in last year, because last year was the down year for Cam Hayward. Before that, I think Cam Hayward had a case over Chris Jones. But now, yeah. It's probably between Cam and Chris Jones when you look back over the last 4 or 5 years. Now, you got a bunch of the other dudes that have a case too, with Quinnen Williams, like a Jeffrey Simmons. Christian Wilkins just got paid this offseason. The difference is, like, those dudes are in the prime of their careers right now. They're like 26, 27, 28, whereas Cam, he's at 35. Now, ultimately, it doesn't matter if you give the same amount of production, the same amount of play, point blank period. No, it shouldn't. Like, if you're playing like a top 5 defensive tackle, yeah, you should be getting paid like a top 5 defensive tackle. But the NFL is a little bit about projecting what's going to take place in the future whenever you're talking about divvying out some contracts. And, like, where are you putting your money on whether or not Cam is a top 5 defensive tackle in 2025 and in 2026? This year, solely this year coming up, I don't think it's a bad bet. If he can stay healthy, I don't think it's a bad bet of him being a top 5 or 6 defensive tackle. But then you're talking another year older after that, and then 2 years older after that. Is he still going to be at that level? And would it be worth it to the Steelers to be paying him top 5 money if you're not getting that production at that position too? I mean, to be paying a defensive tackle $20+ million, like, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. And if you're not getting that production, that could kill your team. That could kill how your roster is and just how your cap is allocated. Like, your numbers are allocated with the cap. So it's tough, man. It's tough. Like, I'm for the extension. Like, if we can get him for another 3 years, but I thought with that extension was going to mean the number was going to go down from $16 million. We were going to get him for maybe like $10 or $11 million. Just understanding the nature of, hey, you're getting older. Like, you can't expect us to be shelling out top dollar for you, expecting you to keep up your level of play that, you know, we're used to. The Cam Hayward that we're used to. Like, we can't expect that, right? From an organization standpoint, a business standpoint, you can't. It's been done before, but a lot of times those are the outliers compared to what typically happens when players get older. So it's tough, man. It's tough. We'll just have to wait and see. I think something does get done, and they're ultimately both going to have to meet in the middle, because it makes a ton of sense for the Steelers with all the contracts, these like 1-year deals that we have right now with a bunch of key players. It makes sense for them to just let it ride. Let's see how this season plays out with a bunch of these new players, these young players, Russ, Justin Fields, and even like an old player like Cam Hayward. Let's see how this season plays out before we give up big money. We give out multi-year deals and lock ourselves into a future that, yeah, again, we don't know exactly about just yet. We don't know what the future holds because we still need to see what this team looks like with all these new players. So, like, why lock in anyone outside of like a TJ Watt or a Minkah Fitzpatrick when we don't have to? It's tough too because Cam's such a staple. But at 35 years old, like, you see it from the Steelers' standpoint why they wouldn't be in a rush to give him a big-time deal or a big-time extension. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on Jeremy Chinn ultimately picking the Commanders over the Steelers, us signing Cam Sutton, and also Cam Hayward wanting a 3-year extension, and what you think that number would have to be. But stay chilling. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.